Put a light on. Put a light on your room.
Do I look that weird? Oh, wow. I do look that weird.
Yeah. Put a light on.
Motel 6 it. I don't know where my thing is. Okay, well, I'll just start the meeting and then I'll fuss with it. I'm going to call this meeting to order, March 11th, 2024. In attendance on Zoom, we have Randy Iser, Joyce Chunglo, Molly Keegan, Jane Nevinsmith, and myself, Amy Parsons. Because we're on Zoom, all votes will be taken via roll call vote. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 2022 of the Acts of 2022, signed by the Governor on February 15th of 2022, I announce that this meeting of the Select Board is being recorded by Hadley Media, the Select Board's office via Zoom, and ask if there's anyone present on the line who is also recording the meeting. And I don't see anyone, so let the minutes reflect that no one else has indicated that they are also recording this meeting. All right. So we have our old business 2.1 Young Men's Club one-day liquor license request. Young Men's Club for 3 events. It's April 27th, June 22nd, and October 19th. And the changes to the original club alcohol license are still pending ABCC approval.
So those are actually...
Somebody going to speak or what?
Yeah, Jennifer, were you...
I looked up some things about decibel level at concerts, and I'm thinking we should put some kind of a limit on decibel levels for their events. Possibly 90, which is the same decibel level that a loud lawnmower has.
You know,
I don't want to get involved with that.
I don't disagree with you, Jane, in that it's too loud, but I don't think we have time tonight to figure that all out. That's a pretty complicated issue. So.
Yeah, and I think we still have time, right? I mean, the approval is pending any conditions that we want to place on that. So, I mean, I would think the club seems to be pretty amenable to working with the town. And I understand, Jane, where you're coming from. I think not the number one complaint, but the second in line complaint after concerns about behavior along East Street would definitely be the loudness of the concert. So maybe that's something we can work with them on between now and then.
Jennifer, is that true?
So y'all have approved the license contingent already. The order of conditions also was approved by y'all. But that being said, they're one-day liquor licenses and you can take them back up at any point. So if you have this first event and you decide that it was too loud or there were more problems, then y'all call the Young Men's Club and they come back and you have another discussion and you say, these 7 things didn't work at the last time and these 8 did. So we're going to stick with these 8 and get rid of those 7. The best part about a one-day license is that y'all have complete a total authority over it. So, I'm sorry, Randy.
No, you weren't done. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for this first event, it might be beneficial to allow it to go forth with the conditions that have already been set on or already set by y'all and the meeting's already taken place. So my recommendation would be to allow the first event to move forward. And then if the need arises, then y'all can readdress the other 2 events as needed.
So my question was, we're bringing this back now because of the fact that the ABCC did not like their original plan of the area that was the license change was going to impact. Is that correct?
So these are 2 separate items. The first one is the one-day liquor licenses that I asked you to make contingent. I did. I asked you to do that. because I wanted y'all to have the full picture before you finally approved them all. But the ABCC sent back the second agenda item without a finding. So if you're going to allow them to have this event, you need to approve the 1 days. And then we need to take up the second one. I
So
don't
my
know if
point
you want
is-
to mix the two of them.
My point is, since we haven't approved the 1-day liquor licenses yet, because it was pending and now we're gonna change that, we might consider putting some kind of limit on decibels on the first round.
So you would need to have, I believe, I'm trying to remember because we did this before where the building inspector and then we had the decibel meter, and it's very difficult to do this to prove the sounds, the noise limits. So we would have to have a decibel meter, and then we all would have to decide, is Chief Mason going to be the enforcement officer, or is it Tommy Quinlan? And I don't know the answers to that. I would have to do the research on it to know the answer.
But that should have been brought up at the original things that we put into place as what we wanted them to do. There is the whole list that's contingent on us approving these 1-day liquor licenses, which are able to be changed per event. But there was nothing stated in all of the requests that we had on that for any type of thing decimal. And I don't think it's right to put that in there at this time.
It was
So-
brought up before and the same message was made. It's hard to show what the decibel level is. And that's true, because the further you get from the source, the softer, the less the decibels. And there's a formula that does that. But I would like, if we don't do it now, to really keep it in the back of our minds that this is something that we could do that would help the tenants with their concerns about these events.
Yeah,
So
I-
if I may, I can
Jen-
add something. Oh, go ahead, Molly. Or you? No. All right. So I'm on the bylaw committee, and one of the things we're talking about is large venues, and noise came up. And we were trying to do exactly what Jane's talking about, come up with a number that makes sense. And we decided that for right now, what we need to do is when there is an event at the club or any place where there's loud noises, somebody in town that's got a decibel meter, and Chief Spanknable has one, and I think there's several others that have them. They're going to go and take some readings, and then we'll know what we're dealing with. So then in the future, we can say, all right, this is too loud because we have gone here, we've listened, and we've decided that this is too loud.
But who's going to decide what the decimal readings are and what it should be?
Well, the machine's going to decide what it is, and then the town's going to have to decide what is acceptable and what isn't. But we can't do it tonight. I just don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah, and I think in fairness to the club, again, I think it's very appropriate to let them know that this is an area of concern. We don't want to put a rule in place that we can't enforce, or it's just going to be subject to interpretation, and then we're just going to create a mess. I think the key point here is that we allow in good faith, the April event to go forward with the conditions that have already been discussed. Tell them that noise is a major area of concern for the neighbors, and hope that they do everything they can to put a lid on that. And if it doesn't work out, as Jennifer said, we've got another bite at the apple before the summer event. So,
And I think they brought forward to us on how they were going to position these concerts that were, or events that were going to be positioned away from the local people that are surrounding them. They're going to try to put it out into where it's not going to affect them. So, again, I guess we can just go forward and see how this first event works and go from there.
so I'll make a motion that we approve the 1-day liquor licenses as presented.
Second,
All right, motion by Molly, seconded by Joyce. Is there any further discussion? Okay, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Roll call vote, Keegan,
Yes.
Chungalo,
Yes,
Parsons,
Yes.
Nevin Smith,
Yes,
and Iser.
No,
Thank you.
you are staunch on your nose, Randy.
on that one I am, Joyce. You are correct.
Jennifer, could I ask, since you're the person with the most contact with Sean Gould right now, could you just relay that conversation that we just had to him?
Absolutely. I took notes and I will make sure to reach out to him.
Okay, thank you.
And for the record, they were informed about tonight. They were informed, but I think it might have been too late for them to come. But they were actually informed the day that I posted the meeting.
Okay. So that brings us to the next portion, which is their alteration of premise. Are we still good to talk about it with them not being here?
I don't see
But
why not.
that's-
It's on the agenda. They were notified.
wasn't that for what the BBC was going to chime in on the alteration of the, weren't they the ones that were of concern more than what we were for the alteration of their permit when we approved the deck and we approved the open area between the club and the pavilion? Jennifer?
The ABCC returned it with no findings. I brought it back to y'all with the club at the last meeting. Concerns were raised about whether or not y'all could approve the license based off the zoning for the property. And so I contacted town council with the concerns that were raised, and I emailed y'all or I attached it in board docs for your review earlier today. And that was one of the things I asked y'all to take a look at.
Does that with the ABC not giving us, return to us with no findings, does that mean that we can approve or disapprove as a board ourselves?
Yes, because the club came back to y'all with another plan, which was in the board docs, was an attachment where they were going to cut through their parking lot and cordon off with fencing. They did not specify exactly what type of fence, but patio guidelines say ropes, no fencing. It doesn't have to be an installed, like a permanent. It doesn't have to be like a picket fence or a chain link fence. The ABCC is very broad with what they define as a fence. So they were going to fence off from their back exit a section of parking lot, and then the rest of it would be part of their license. And the ABCC says that they find fencing adequate. So I don't believe they would reject it this time. But Randy had raised the concern about whether or not y'all could do it with the zoning. And
Yeah. We got a lovely response from Adam Costa, which basically says that we have the authority to expand the license, but they may still need to have a zoning permit to do what they're doing. But the reality is they are asking to use the space that they've been using for years for any event that ever has occurred there that I've gone to. The grass between the main building and the pavilion has always been, people have been walking back and forth and drinking, and I don't have an issue with that. The only thing that concerns me about this new plan that they showed us, and I'm just, Jennifer, you can hopefully help me out here. I know that my tenant, the barbecue, prior to COVID, could not serve alcohol in the picnic area because you had to cross the driveway to get there and you couldn't rope it off. So if they're roping off from their back exit of the main building, does that mean that that's the only way people can get out of the club and then go on to the lawn? I
Correct.
just need, so they're aware that that's what they have to do. They can't allow people to go out on the grass in any other way from that building.
Well, they are the ones that drew up this plan
Mm-hmm.
based off of their conversation with the ABCC. So, as I understand, yes, they understand that.
Okay.
But I want to be clear, I did not hear either one of any of you from the club say that, and they are not here this evening.
I think
So I have a
basically,
question. Their club permit is going to include the pavilion. Their one-day liquor license is not going to include the pavilion. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
so
Can y'all
basically
see my
property,
screen now?
that property in between the Young Men's Club and the
Yes.
pavilion has been used for 1 day a week car shows. And they may use a piece of that for they used to have, I don't know if they still do, I'm speaking out of turn, horseshoe teams play horseshoes there. So that's basically what they use that piece of property for, or they may put up volleyball. What do you call them? I'm at a loss for the word here, kids.
Nets.
Nets, thank you, nets. They put up volleyball nets or something like that. I work today, so my mind is fragmented here right now. So that's basically what I've seen the use of that property for, is people playing games out in that area. And the car shows once a week, not every week, but once a week.
I think Randy's comment is correct. Are they aware with this drawing that if somebody's in the club and has a drink in their hand, they cannot walk out the front door? And I think
I
that's, I think
think
it's
they
fine,
talked
but
about that last time.
sorry?
I was gonna say, I think that they talked about that last time where they knew they were gonna lose, essentially 4 parking spots.
Yeah, they know they're going to lose the parking spots, Amy, but do they know that that's the only way that they can come out of the building to get onto the grass legally?
So I want to be clear, the patio was approved.
Yes.
But
the deck, you
will
mean?
not. Yes, sorry, deck, yes. That was approved. So looking at it now, yes, the only way they can do it is come out this back door, and then this area here will be fenced off, and then they can move about the property. But yes,
Okay.
that is it. That's the in and out. I've never been there, so I have to assume that this is their main entrance.
No,
Is that it's not?
no.
Yes, this is it's a
Well-
side entrance that most people use
Side
rather than,
entrance.
they don't use that front entrance hardly at all, except to come
Okay.
out and sit on the deck, but they use that side entrance basically to go into the club.
Yeah, if
So-
that's if the side entrance is incorporated or included in this, then I got no issues. I thought it was farther back than that, and it was some kind of weird back exit only.
No, it's a side entrance.
I'm sorry, Joyce.
I'm sorry, Jennifer, too.
They had talked about trying to come off the deck and everything, but I think they found that not to be enough or too much parking or something along those lines. So they switched it to the back one. And this is their plan. This is not a plan that the ABCC or myself told them this how, you draw the line here. They came up with this plan on their own.
Okay,
All right, I move to approve.
second,
All right, motioned by Jane, seconded by Joyce. Is there any further discussion? All right, roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Keegan,
Yes.
Chungalo,
yes,
Parsons,
Yep.
Nevin Smith,
Yes,
and Iser.
Yes.
Thank you.
Different issue, Joyce.
All right.
Oh, I hear you.
Um,
You're okay, Randy.
I know
okay.
that.
Well, I'm just telling you. I like to
I
tell you.
appreciate it.
I missed you at the hairdresser this week.
We gotta get our schedules
We don't
together.
have to agree with each other. We just have to respect each other.
We just have to
True.
get our haircut together.
That's right.
Okay. So now, just need to make a motion here to move into executive session.
So moved.
Hold on. I'm gonna make a motion to enter into executive session for the purposes per Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting law will have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body. This is for the compensation study, and we are also not to reconvene in open session.
Second.
Okay. As the
Roll.
chair of the Hadley Select Board, I state that the board has moved and seconded to enter into executive session, and that I state that discussing the matter in open session will have an adverse effect on the town of Hadley. Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Keegan,
Yes.
Chungalo,
Yes.
Parsons,
Yes.
Nevin Smith,
Yes.
and Iser.
Yes.